Hello and welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. This is Benji, and today I'm going to talk about Altergeist Haunted Rock, which I want to test in my build. Now I play a slightly weird Altergeist build. I don't play Extravagance at the moment. I've been testing, because if I do play Extravagance, I'm not going to play this card. I'm going to just play Crackdown. I might play this card, but the way I'm playing this deck at the moment, I'm playing 48 cards, triple pot of Desires. This is a one of, so the idea is to make this card a little harder to draw. It improves a lot of your turn one plays if you don't draw this, but it could hurt you if you do draw it, but no matter what deck this is in, that'll happen. Also, I'm a little concerned with banishing my extra deck. I know it's not likely to happen, and you usually only need one Hexia to really win the game, but I go into all the Hexias and the Prime Banshees in my deck, so I like to play it a little differently. But either way, here's what this card does. Altergeist Haunted Rock is a continuous trap card with the following condition. If this card is set by the effect of an Altergeist card, you can activate it the turn it was set. Then it has two effects. The first effect is, when this card is activated, send one Altergeist monster from your hand to the graveyard. That's a terrible effect, but it is what happens when you activate it. Its other effect is, when your opponent activates a trap card, except during the damage step, you can send one Altergeist monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate that effect. And if you do, destroy that card. You can only use each effect of Altergeist Haunted Rock once per turn. So it has the benefit that it can negate trap cards, although odds are you'll never do that. It also doesn't negate activations, so you can't get Witch's Strikes from negating a card with this effect. Not that that should really happen either. And this is a neg-1, because it makes you send a card from your hand to the graveyard. But because it allows you to potentially use Faker on turn 1, it also sets up some combos. That kind of offsets its real negative of discarding a card. Sometimes it makes it a positive. So let's actually get into some of the benefits here. So I'm going to show you a few plays. The first one is just Marionetter plus any Altergeist card, any Altergeist monster in your hand. So here's a Multi-Faker, and here's a Marionetter. Now, preferably, you would have one more Altergeist card, and that changes this completely. But the way we have this now, we get to normal Marionetter, activate its effect, setting Haunted Rock. So we've passed up on the opportunity to set a particular Altergeist card we want in order to do this, but if you have, in this case, we would have 3 other cards in our hand. They could be the traps we already needed. We didn't need them, so in that case, we would do this instead. But we don't have to do this. This is just an option. Next, we activate Haunted Rock, sending to the graveyard the Multi-Faker. Now, because this is a continuous trap card, it's going to sit here, we can use Marionetter's effect to send this to the graveyard to summon back the Multi-Faker. So we put the Multi-Faker from our hand into the graveyard, and now that we've special Multi-Faker, we can use his effect to summon a third monster from the deck. Then we can make Hexia, and we can have a live negate. Now, if this wasn't Multi-Faker, it would just be like a Meliseek. You can make Hexia and search Faker for next turn. If this was Silk, you can make Hexia and add back Haunted Rock. Now, the Haunted Rock isn't a card you really want to add back to your hand, but if you do, it's a card you can shuffle back into the deck with your spoofing just to get another card. And as long as you have another Altergeist monster in your hand, you can actually still flip this and shuffle it back, and because it leaves the field, its effect won't resolve to send the card to the graveyard, so you actually won't neg 1. Just flipping this and then shuffling it back with spoofing. You can also do that if you have a Silk on board. You can flip this, then use Silk to bounce a card, bouncing this back to your hand, so it won't resolve, so you won't, it'll resolve without effect, so you won't send a monster to your hand, and you'll still be able to activate the Faker in hand. So if this was in hand, and you had Silk on board, so if this is your board, and your opponent has some card on the field, you can normal Marionetter, setting Haunted Rock, you can then activate Haunted Rock, chain Silk, bouncing this to your hand, so now you don't have to discard a card, because it isn't on the field to resolve that. And then you can activate Faker, and you've sent their card back. Same thing can be done with spoofing. So this is the full combo I'm going to show you now, which is where you have Marionetter, Multi-Faker, and preferably Meliseek. So here's the full combo that you can do. You'd still have 2 cards in your hand, and they could be traps that you actually need, because you might want to establish a Hexia turn 1. So we're going to normal Marionetter, activating effect to set the Haunted Rock. Activate Haunted Rock, sending the Meliseek to the graveyard, because it's required as part of activating it. Activate Multi-Faker, activate the effect of Multi-Faker to summon the Silk from the deck. Next, use Marionetter to send the Haunted Rock to the graveyard to summon back the Meliseek. So those 3 cards now became 4 monsters. Next, you're going to link the, well, you have a couple options here. If you're concerned with getting ashed on, I mean, you probably would have been ashed on the Faker, but if you're concerned about getting ashed here, you can chain block using the Silk to add back the Haunted Rock from the graveyard. So you could maybe make the Meliseek and the Multi-Faker into a Hexia, searching a monster with the Meliseek, and then make that Hexia and this Silk into either a Prime Banshee or another Hexia. So for this sake, I'm going to link these two into a Hexia. So let me get my Hexia. That'll activate the Meliseek to search a Konkiri or another Mario for next turn. Next we can link the Hexia with the Prime Banshee. I'm sorry, the Hexia with the Silk to summon Prime Banshee, allowing us to chain block the Hexia, which is going to search a manifestation or protocol. Let's say we get protocol in this case. Where's my protocol? I play a weird build, so it's tough to find. So we get the protocol to our hand while chain blocking and adding back the Haunted Rock. And the last thing we can do is we can link these into another Hexia, allowing us to activate the Prime Banshee in the graveyard to add back the Multi-Faker. So all these things are pretty good. They are not the worst things you can do. So we'd set these. Our opponent would go, we would activate Protocol, activate Multi-Faker, use its effect to summon from the deck a Silk. And then when our opponent tries to use a card we don't want to deal with, we can activate the Haunted Rock because we have the Marionetter in hand, so it's legal to activate. And then we can chain the Silk to bounce the Haunted Rock to bounce their card. And we don't have to give up the Protocol. We don't have to give up the Multi-Faker. We don't have to send a card to the graveyard. We still have Multi-Faker to negate. We've still got Silk, so we're still pretty solid. And that's pretty much everything you can really do with this card. I'm sure the game state will dictate whether or not it makes sense to use. Yeah, enjoy. See you next time.